Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, August the 13th. We're going to cover this 5-game slate for Thursday. This is one of our last, slates for this regular season. The regular season ends on Friday, and then the playoffs start on Monday, I believe. So we will have, no basketball videos this weekend because there won't be any basketball going on. But obviously, I'm going to have videos for these two final slates. I will have videos for when the playoffs start as well. I'll still be making NBA videos during the playoffs. Going to have a ton of content still coming out, even though we are getting towards the end of these seeding games. But before we do get started looking at this 5-game slate, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button so that way, you don't miss out on any of my new videos. You will see all my videos pop up on your homepage whenever you log into YouTube. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get a notification sent to your phone every time that I upload. You'll also, never miss out on any videos that way. And if you want to get more content from me, I do have stuff available on Patreon. That is linked down below in the description. I do give updated content over there, updated core plays. I'm constantly updating stuff on Patreon throughout the day as injury news breaks, especially during this time of the season when, teams are resting starters, teams are limiting players. Updates are very crucial. Obviously, news is coming out throughout the day constantly, so I do have a lot of updated content on Patreon. If you want to check that out, that is linked down below. I have an article that I post Monday through Friday. It's pretty in-depth. I go through each position, talk about the guys I like most. I do provide updates to that article as well as news breaks, and I have my core plays posted over there that you can check out. Also, you can get in our Discord chat. You can talk to me, talk to everyone else in the Discord chat. I'm in there throughout the day to answer any questions, help you guys build out your lineup. So check out the Patreon link down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's go ahead and take a look at this slate. We will start off at point guard like we always do. So at the top, we do have Luka and Dame as our two most expensive options today. Luka 11-4 against Phoenix and Dame 11-2 against Brooklyn. So right now, Luka not listed on the injury report. We did just get word that Porzingis is questionable for this game, but we didn't get anything on Luka, which makes me assume he plays. But definitely keep your eye on that. This could be a spot where Luka gets rested just because Dallas has nothing to play for. I'll go ahead and say it. The three teams that, really have something to play for are Memphis, Phoenix, and San Antonio. Like, those are the three teams that are either fighting for a playoff spot or already in Portland as well. Portland. So Memphis, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Portland. Those are the four teams that really, need to win their game today. Memphis, I believe, they're right. If they win their game, then they'll be in the play-in tournament. If Portland wins, they'll lock up the 8th seed. And I think, obviously if Memphis were to lose, then that could maybe allow a team like San Antonio or a team like Phoenix to get into the play-in tournament. So those are the four teams that really have something to play for and need to win their game. The rest, they either locked in their playoff spot, eliminated from the playoffs, or, they don't really care what seed they get. There's some teams that could win and then move up in the standings, but some teams don't really care about that right now. Mainly the four teams that, are going all out are Memphis, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Portland. So that's obviously going to make someone like Damian Lillard very intriguing. But starting off with Luka, if we know that he's going to play his full minutes, especially like if Porzingis winds up resting and we're going to get full minutes from Luka, then he would obviously be one of the top plays on the slate, but we just don't know what's going to happen here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get news on Thursday that Luka's going to be out. I wouldn't be surprised if they release their starting lineup and Luka's not in it. I wouldn't be surprised if Luka plays like the first half and then doesn't play in the second half. Like, this is just kind of risky. I would rather just roster Damian Lillard, who I know is going to go out there and play 40 minutes. If Portland wins this game, they're going to be the 8th seed. They lock up the 8th seed. So this is obviously a huge game for them, a game they need to win. Lillard getting huge minutes right now. 40 minutes every game, doing everything they can to make the playoffs. He's been playing at such a high level recently, coming off a huge game against Philly where he dropped 51 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 68 Draftkings points. I know the price tag is way up there for Dame, but I just feel so good about him because the minutes are there. We know the usage is going to be there. We did get some reports that CJ McCollum is dealing with an injury, so, maybe CJ McCollum sits out this game. I don't think he would, but that would obviously be an even bigger boost to Lillard. I think at this point in the regular season with how teams are, approaching these seeding games, When it comes to my studs, I just want to roster studs that I know are going to go out there and play their normal minutes, and that's the case with Lillard. So even though he is overpriced, maybe you could say he's overpriced, I still think he's one of the top pay-up options, and we do have a lot of value today. We've already got, the Pelicans are going to be resting a lot of their guys again. The Jazz are going to be resting a lot of guys too. So we do have some value. Giannis is suspended today, so he's not going to play. We definitely could get some value from Milwaukee. So it should be pretty easy to pay up for Dame. I like him a lot at 11-2. And then Devin Booker, another guy I like paying up for. You could argue that he's overpriced. He's up to 9,800, but very similar to Lillard. Like, he's just going to play huge minutes if it's a close game. The only reason he played 29 minutes against OKC was because, they won that game by 27 points. This game against Dallas, if Luka plays, it should be close. Even if Luka doesn't play, maybe Dallas can keep it close here. We're going to get 38 to 40 minutes from Booker if this is a close game. If Phoenix wants to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. I'm pretty sure if they lose, they're automatically out. Even if, Memphis and San Antonio lose, I think, Phoenix will still be out. Phoenix needs to win, and then I think they need, one of those two teams to lose. I'm pretty sure they need Memphis to lose. But, yeah, they have to win this game if they want to have a chance in the playoffs, if they want to even, have a shot at it. So I expect Booker to be out there playing his normal huge minutes. At 9,800, I know that's an expensive price, but, Booker's just getting so much usage, so much opportunity. Going to go out there and take 25, 26 shots. Going to get some rebounds, can get assists. I mean, he can legit triple-double. I don't know if he's had a triple-double this season, but he's definitely got the potential because he can contribute in all categories. You could argue that he's a little bit overpriced, but I just feel safe that he's going to go out there and play 40 minutes. And, right, like I said, the studs I want to roster, if I'm paying, a premium for my studs, I want to make sure they're going to be out there for their full minutes and not get pulled at the end of the first half or only play 25 minutes. That's why I do have worries about guys like Luka and, other studs. Whereas Dame, Booker, we can lock them in for huge minutes. So those are the two guys I do like paying up for today. You could also, make the same argument for Ja Morant. He's very expensive at 9K, but, he's just going to go out there and play huge minutes. If Memphis wants to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. I expect Morant to probably play 36, 38 minutes. I know he's gotten 40 minutes the last two games, 42, 41 minutes. So, yeah, Ja Morant feels pretty safe here as well. I just think you get a little bit more upside from Booker, so I think that's why I try and get up to Booker if possible. So Donovan Mitchell, not on the injury report for today's game against San Antonio, but we did just get news that Rudy Gobert is going to be out. Mike Conley's going to be out. I don't know what they're going to do with Mitchell here. This game, it's meaningless for them. Whether they win or lose, it doesn't really matter, I'm pretty sure. I don't see a scenario in which Donovan Mitchell just goes out there and plays huge minutes. It's just really not necessary. If you tell me he's going to play his normal minutes, then obviously I'm going to like him a ton with Gobert and Conley both out, but I just don't know if that's going to be the case. So at 8,200, he's pretty risky here. I doubt I go there. If I'm going to target guys from the Jazz today, I think I'm going to go to the value plays that we'll talk about in a second. But if we do get, word, I know we're probably not, but if we do get word that, Mitchell's not going to be limited, he's going to play his full minutes, then I'm going to like him a ton with no Gobert and no Conley. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think we are going to see some sort of a limit, or maybe even he, winds up resting. Lonzo Ball is someone that I liked a lot last slate, and he kind of let me down. We saw the Pelicans, rest a lot of guys. No Brandon Ingram, no Drew, no Zion. Those three guys are also out for this game. Last game against the Kings with all those guys out, Lonzo played 29 minutes. He did start. Wasn't too productive, just 29 Draftkings points. I was expecting him to be incredibly productive when he was on the floor. That wasn't the case. If you looked at the Pelicans box score, it was kind of gross. I mean, they literally played everybody 20, 25 minutes. Even guys like Thornwell and I can't remember who the other player was, but literally dudes that had never touched the floor got on the floor, which is kind of scary. I mean, nobody played over 30 minutes for the Pelicans the other day. I think they're probably going to do that same thing today where everybody just gets at least 20 minutes and nobody plays huge minutes, which does, kind of cap Lonzo's upside. I still expect him to be incredibly productive when he's on the floor, playing without Drew, without Ingram, without Zion. All three of those guys are out again. I do expect him to be productive, but I don't think we're going to get 36 minutes from him like I thought we could. I think they're probably going to just keep him around 30 minutes. No need to push him. This is the Pelicans' last game. I mean, for all these teams, this is their last game of the regular season. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect here. if you look at the box score, you'll see everyone played at least like 20 minutes or close to it. So just makes it hard to, go to these guys for DFS purposes. But then other point guards. So with Giannis suspended, what are the Bucks going to do with Eric Bledsoe? I have no idea. He's not on the injury report. We don't know if he's actually going to play, though. We saw this scenario happen, during the regular season. It was a game against the Wizards, I believe. Giannis was out. The Wizards, or the Bucks were like huge favorites with Giannis out. And then we got word like 5 minutes before the game started that Bledsoe, Middleton, those guys weren't in the starting lineup. Brook Lopez, they released some crazy starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if they, put Bledsoe off the injury report, but then they release their starting lineup and it doesn't have Bledsoe in it. Like, I think that could definitely be something we see here. I don't see a scenario where Bledsoe just goes out there and plays 32 minutes. There's just no need for him to play here. The Bucks have nothing to play for. I think we're going to see them rest some guys. Even though they might not, officially rule Eric Bledsoe out, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's actually going to play. Even though he's not on the injury report, that doesn't mean he's going to play. So until we get word here, I'm probably off of Eric Bledsoe, which is, scary to think. Anytime Giannis is out, like, I automatically just lock in Bledsoe, lock in Middleton. But those guys we don't know what their minutes are going to look like, so it makes them incredibly risky. If you tell me they're going to play their normal minutes, then, yeah, I'm going to be all over guys like Bledsoe and Middleton, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. So let's take a look at some other point guards. Markelle Fultz is someone I do feel pretty good about. I think he's going to get the minutes. Should play about mid-20s in minutes off the bench. Still no Aaron Gordon, Isaac, Fournier, all those guys out for the Magic. So the opportunity is there for Markelle Fultz right now. Last 2 games, 44 and 30 Draftkings points. Great matchup here against the Pelicans. I do like him quite a bit at 5,200. I think he's a really good option in that 5K range. I also think Jordan Clarkson's a really good option. So we saw him start the other game against Dallas, and then he didn't play at all in the second half. They rested all their starters in the second half. I honestly thought, even though, Clarkson started, I didn't expect him to get rested. Like, I didn't think there was a risk for him because he's a younger guy. Like, it seemed like, why would they rest Clarkson? He's a younger guy. But they did rest him. I don't know what they're going to do here. I think Clarkson plays his normal minutes, and without Conley, without Rudy Gobert, he does get a big bump in his fantasy production, a big bump in his usage. Assuming Clarkson is going to play his full minutes, I like him a lot at 5,200. I assume that he starts for Mike Conley. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I have to assume that Clarkson gets his normal minutes here, whether he starts or comes off the bench. Mitchell's kind of one guy I'm worried about. I'm not as worried about the minutes when it comes to Clarkson. Hopefully they don't limit him. I do like him a lot on both sides. If you tell me he's going to play his normal minutes without Conley and without Gobert, like, he should absolutely smash. This is a high-usage player, a guy that's very productive when he's on the floor. I do like him a lot on both sides. I think he is a very good option in the 5K range, along with Markelle Fultz. If you don't feel safe about Clarkson's minutes, then I think you can definitely play Fultz over him. Fultz, should get a probably mid-20s in minutes and same price as Clarkson. But I think you do get a lot of upside from Clarkson here if he does wind up playing his normal minutes. But then if we're talking about value plays at point guard, so there's obviously guys here that we can maybe consider. We'll just have to see what these teams are going to do. I wouldn't be surprised to see Milwaukee run out a weird starting lineup with Eric Bledsoe not in it, and then someone like George Hill or DiVincenzo would become viable. DiVincenzo missed the last game. We don't know yet if he's going to play this game. We'll just have to wait and see there. Frank Mason, he got some run last game because they just played all the scrubs. He played like 20-something minutes, and he had a big game. He could maybe be viable depending on what they do. Guys like Frank Jackson and NAW both got about 25 minutes off the bench last game. I assume that's what they get today. NAW played 25 minutes, had 23 Draftkings points. Frank Jackson played 25 minutes, had 26 Draftkings points. I think both these guys are viable. If I had to play one, I would probably play NAW just because he has the most upside. But both those guys are definitely in play as values. With all the injuries to the Pelicans, with 3 of their main guys out tonight or out on Thursday night, they're obviously going to have some minutes to go around. And, I do expect NAW and Jackson to both get pretty solid run. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So at shooting guard, Karis LeVert, 8K here on DraftKings. I do have interest in Karis LeVert. This is the Nets' last game before the playoffs. What are they going to do with Karis LeVert here? He missed the last game, but he's available to play for this game. In games that LeVert has been able to play, like they've played him his normal minutes. He's played 34, 35, 36 minutes. Only reason he played 27 minutes against Boston was because it was a blowout. I don't think they're going to play limited minutes or give LeVert limited minutes. They haven't done that yet. like I said, in every game that he's been active in and he started in, he's played his normal minutes. So if you tell me we're going to get, LeVert's normal 34 to 36 minutes, I guess it's somewhat risky, but I think LeVert, he should probably get his normal minutes just because they haven't limited him at all. Brooklyn doesn't seem like they're going to do that with LeVert and Allen. When those guys are healthy and playing, they play their normal minutes. So I do like Karis LeVert quite a bit at 8K. I feel safer with him than guys like Donovan Mitchell, just because I don't know what Mitchell's minutes are going to look like here. But then other options we can maybe go to, not much stands out in this 5K range. I guess with Mike Conley out, like Joe Ingles could be really interesting, but what are his minutes going to look like? We don't really know. In the 5K range, you got like Clarkson you could play here, who we talked about. J.J. Redick, didn't start last game, didn't even play at all. He was pretty much, never touched the floor. I assume he's going to get DNP'd again and not play this game, so I'd be off J.J. Redick even with all the guys out for the Pelicans. And then we have like these potential value pieces from Milwaukee, depending on what their starting lineup looks like. Luckily, this Milwaukee game's at 4, so we'll have their starting lineup before lock. Don't be surprised if they run out in a weird starting lineup. Don't have Bledsoe in there, don't have Middleton in there, and they just, throw this game away pretty much and just play all the, bench guys. That would make someone like DiVincenzo interesting, someone like Sterling Brown interesting. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. So at small forward, looking at this position, you got Luka at the top. We already touched on him. Other guys we could maybe look to. So you got Chris Middleton for 8,300. We don't know yet what his status is. We did get word that Eric Bledsoe is not on the injury report, but we don't know yet what they're doing with Chris Middleton. If Middleton sits, I don't know what they do with Bledsoe. Do they play Bledsoe? Do they not play Bledsoe? If Middleton plays, I don't know what they do with him. Do they play him? Do they not play him? It just makes it so risky. I guess if we get their starting lineup and it's got Middleton in it and it's got Bledsoe in it, then you can roll these guys out, but I still don't feel confident in them playing their normal minutes. We could definitely see them just play the first half. We could see them, I don't even know, just play like the first quarter. We just don't really know what these coaches are going to do in these meaningless games. So that makes Middleton pretty risky. I don't know if I really want to go there. We can definitely take a look at some other small forwards, though. Like in this 5K range, not much stands out here. Mikal Bridges, not a guy I usually play, but should be locked into big minutes with the Suns having something to play for. 33, 39, 35 minutes, 30, 37 DraftKings points his last 2 games against Dallas. You could definitely target Mikal Bridges just because he's going to get the minutes. Looking at other options, though, like Cam Johnson, kind of the same thing. He's going to get the minutes. Phoenix still has something to play for. I believe Kelly Oubre is doubtful, so, he's not expected to play. So you could definitely look to Cam Johnson. Josh Hart was someone I liked a lot last slate. He didn't have the best game. He did play 30 minutes, but only had 20 DraftKings points. Right now, he's listed as questionable, so we'll have to keep an eye on his status. With all the guys out for the Pelicans, with no Zion, with no Drew, with no Ingram, with all those guys out again, I think we can definitely go to Josh Hart. He played 30 minutes last game. If he plays today, I assume that's what he gets today. And he's 4,600. There's still upside for him at that price, so I don't mind Josh Hart at 4,600 as a value. Maybe Pat Connaughton starts here. I did like Pat Connaughton a lot last slate, with all the injuries, with him starting. Only played 21 minutes, but was really productive. Did have 23 DraftKings points. Who knows what the Bucks do today? Who starts for Giannis? I assume it's probably going to be Ersan, but we just got word that Ersan's also questionable, so we'll have to, wait and see there. Just keep an eye on this Bucks starting lineup. I think that's going to be like one of the big pieces of news that we really need to wait on. Depending on who they start, that makes me confident who gets the minutes. If Connaughton's in the starting lineup, then you could definitely play him at 4,200. Etuan Moore did start last game for the Pelicans. He saw 24 minutes, was pretty productive with 25 DraftKings points. I think he's a guy you could look to as a value. Same with like Sterling Brown. Got pretty good run off the bench, was really productive. But if we're looking at punt plays for small forward, there really isn't much here under 5 or under 4K. At least not now. Maybe stuff will open up as the day goes on, but we'll just have to wait and see. So let's go ahead and move on to power forward. We'll talk about this position. So at power forward, looking at the top, you got Nurkic, 9,200. Obviously, this is a fantastic spot for Nurkic here against Brooklyn. This is a spot where he should just absolutely dominate. Brooklyn, they should really have no answer for him. Brooklyn's always been a team that's really struggled against bigs. I know Nurkic has kind of struggled lately, though. His game log isn't very pretty. 41, 44, 32 DraftKings points the last few games. But one of the reasons he struggled against Philly was because he did deal with some foul trouble in that game. He still played 29 minutes even with foul trouble concerns. If he's not in foul trouble, you're going to get about 34 minutes from Nurkic. At 9,200, I think he's definitely viable as a pay-up option here. He's one of those guys, one of those pay-up options that we do know the minutes are going to be there for him. Going to play his, normal 33, 34 minutes, which you can't say about some of the other guys at the top of this price range. I guess you can say the same for like Ayton and DeRozan too, because the Spurs have something to play for. But I guess, yeah, so if you want to pay up at power forward, Nurkic is obviously a clear pay-up option here you could go to. Other guys maybe you could look to, like DeAndre Ayton. The minutes should be there for him with Phoenix having something to play for. He's 8,100, pretty expensive, but Ayton's got upside for sure. I don't mind going to him. Other power forwards, though, if we're like looking in this mid-range, not much stands out here, like in the 4K, 5Ks. At least looking at the slate the night before, I'm just kind of skimming through, but looking at the slate the night before, not much stands out. If we're talking about value, though, punt plays under 4K. So right now, Ersan is questionable. We'll have to wait and see if he plays this game. With Giannis out, I'm assuming that he plays here, or that he starts if he does play. We saw a situation, I think it was a couple of games ago where Giannis was out and they went with they started Chris Middleton at power forward. Maybe they do that here, but normally when Giannis sits, Ersan winds up starting. With Giannis suspended for this game, I like Ersan a lot as a value. I think he does stand out as one of the better values, early look. Obviously, we'll have to keep an eye on his status. Like I said, he is questionable. But assuming he does play and maybe even starts for Giannis, I'm going to like him a lot as a value play. Last game, played 18 minutes off the bench. Giannis did he got ejected in that game. I believe late in the first quarter or right at the start of the second quarter, Giannis got ejected. And I'm pretty sure when Giannis came off the floor, Ersan was the guy that replaced him. Ersan's always been a productive player when he gets minutes, especially when he's not playing alongside Giannis. Put up a fantasy point per minute in that game. This is a guy that can easily give you over a fantasy point per minute. If he starts for Giannis, I think he probably gets about 22 to 24 minutes. It's going to project as a really good value at 3,500, especially in a fast-paced game against the Grizzlies. I didn't talk about pace, but these are two of the fastest-paced teams in the league. The Bucks lead the league in pace. The Grizzlies are 7th in pace. Should be a very high-scoring game. It might be a sloppy game just because Milwaukee could be missing, their best players. But still, I like Ersan, especially if he starts for Giannis. I think he's going to be probably one of the top values at 3,500 on DraftKings. But I think that's probably it for power forward values. If you want to go to Gary Clark, I don't mind him. He should get probably anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes with Aaron Gordon still out. Who knows what the production is going to be like. At 3,400, you could go there. But honestly, if we get Ersan starting, I think Ersan's going to be the guy that I want to go to as a power forward value play. So yeah, that's probably it for power forward cheap options. Let's go ahead and talk about the center position now before we end the video. So at center, you do have Nurkic you can play at the top, who I do like a lot here. Vucevic against the Pelicans, I like that matchup for him. We don't know what his minutes are going to look like, though. In that game against Brooklyn, it was a pretty close game, I think, and Vooch only played 21 minutes. I know the Magic don't have anything to play for. I'm pretty sure they've locked in, I think they're the 8th seed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think they're pretty much locked into the 8th seed, so they can't move up or down in the standings. Really nothing to play for. That's why I do give the edge to someone like Nurkic, who we know is going to be out there for 34 minutes. Would definitely play Nurk over Vooch today. Porzingis, he's questionable right now. We'll have to see what his status is for this game. If I had to guess, I would say he probably sits. Obviously, if he were to sit, then someone like Maxi Kleber, Boban will become really good values. If Porzingis winds up sitting, I wouldn't be surprised to see Luka limited too. We'll just have to wait and see there. If I'm going to pay up at center, I think Nurkic is definitely my favorite option by far. But then some of the other guys, like Rudy Gobert, a big injury we'll talk about. He's out for today. Zion also out. If you're going to the 7K range, I do like Jared Allen quite a bit. Pretty much the same thing goes with him as it does for Karis LeVert. Whenever these guys play, they play their normal minutes. We haven't seen them, yet at least play their starters limited minutes. Whenever Allen and LeVert are active and in the starting lineup, they're playing 36, 34, 36 minutes if it's a close game. I assume that's what we get from Jared Allen today. The price tag's starting to come up there, but this is a guy that can be incredibly productive when he gets the minutes, and he should be getting the minutes right now. This is their last game before the playoffs. They are locked into the 7th seed. They really have nothing to play for, but I'm pretty sure the Nets know, they're not going to really make it in the playoffs. They're probably going to get eliminated in the first round, so might as well just run these guys out there. I mean, I don't think they really care about risk and injury right now when, they're probably not going to win anyway. I think they play the Raptors in the first round. I mean, they're not going to win that series. So, yeah, I assume we get normal minutes from Jared Allen. I do feel pretty good about him at 7,500. Should get normal minutes from J-Val as well. You just never know what they're going to do in terms of, matchup-wise. This doesn't feel like a game where Joe Val's just going to go out there and play, 30 minutes. This feels like a game that could maybe go small, and we could see, Ersan versus Brandon Clark at center a lot. So I do feel better about Jared Allen over someone like Joe Val. I think I would prefer Allen at 7,500. With Giannis out for this game, Brook Lopez gets a boost, but does Brook Lopez play this? How many minutes does Brook Lopez play? We have no idea. Makes him really risky at 5,300. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Robin Lopez get the start here and Brook Lopez just not play at all. So I doubt I'd go there. Derek Favors wasn't, out last game, but didn't start. And once we got the news that he didn't start, I felt pretty confident that he wasn't going to play. That was the case. He was pretty much a healthy scratch, a healthy DNP. That's probably going to be the case today. I see no reason for them to run Derek Favors out there in a meaningless game in their last game of the season. I'm expecting Favors to be out, which definitely opens up some value that we'll talk about in a second. But I guess if Porzingis winds up sitting, you could definitely go to Maxi Kleber at 4,400. With Zion out, I think Nicola Melli makes plenty of sense. He did start last game with Zion out, played 25 minutes, wasn't very productive at all, only had 10 DraftKings points, but the opportunity was there. He's still cheap at 3,900. I don't mind him as a value. If you do want to go to him, I think that's fine. Should be in the starting lineup again, and he's still under 4K. But we do have some viable cheap options at center. So, like I said, Derek Favors, he didn't play last game. He was a healthy scratch. I assume he's going to be a healthy scratch again and not play. We saw Jackson Hayes get the start at center. Him and Okafor split the center minutes. It's not showing up in the game log, but Hayes played about 23 minutes, I believe, and Okafor played 25 minutes. Okafor posted up a monster game in 25 minutes. He put up 31 DraftKings points, was incredibly productive. I still expect Jackson Hayes to start and, probably get the majority of the minutes. Only reason I think Okafor played so much was because he was playing so well. If Hayes starts again, which I assume he does, I don't see any reason why they play Derek Favors here. I like Jackson Hayes as a value for 3,600. This is a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes, and the minutes should be there with pretty much him and Okafor as the only two healthy centers. I do like Jackson Hayes quite a bit at 3,600. Obviously, if Kristaps is out and maybe if Boban starts, then Boban could be a value at 3,500. If Boban doesn't start, though, that makes him a pretty risky option. But we saw that game against Utah. He started that game, played 25 minutes, went off for 40 DraftKings points. I mean, when Boban gets anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, he can just absolutely break a slate. So we'll just have to wait and see what their starting lineup looks like. Luckily, this is one of the 4 o'clock games, so we'll have that news before lock. If Porzingis sits and Boban starts, he's one of the top values at 3,500. You could go to Okafor, but I think I'd rather target Jackson Hayes, especially if Jackson Hayes winds up starting again. Tony Bradley, though, this is a guy that I like a lot for value, so we do already know that Rudy Gobert is out for this game. I am assuming that Tony Bradley gets the start at center. Maybe they do something different and start I think they started Ed Davis, a couple games ago, or whenever they pulled all their starters, Ed Davis wound up he started the second half in place of Gobert. It's going to be one of those two guys. It's either going to be Ed Davis or Tony Bradley who starts for Gobert today. My best guess is it's Tony Bradley, so that makes him a really good value in my opinion. 3,400 on DraftKings. His minimum salary over on Yahoo, $10 over there. So Tony Bradley is a guy that, when he gets minutes for fantasy, when it comes to fantasy, he can just be incredibly productive. You saw it against the Spurs, 22 minutes, doubled, 41 DraftKings points. I mean, in just 15 minutes, still put up 16 DraftKings points. This is a guy that's going to average over a fantasy point per minute. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I assume he probably gets about 26 minutes, 28 minutes if he starts. At 3,400, he's going to project as one of the better values today. There could be a lot of potential value, though, at center. Obviously, Boban could be interesting if Porzingis is out. Jackson Hayes, if he starts again, could be viable at 3,600. Tony Bradley, I like as well. So right now, Tony Bradley's my favorite just because I think he starts and plays mid-20s in minutes, whereas we're still waiting on news with Porzingis, so I don't really know about going to Boban yet. Jackson Hayes, we don't know about that either. I mean, I assume he starts again, but they might play Derek Favors. Who knows? I assume Derek Favors probably sits, though. So all those guys are viable, but my favorite for sure right now is Tony Bradley. He's just a guy that's really productive when he gets minutes, and with no Gobert for the Jazz, with them having nothing to play for, I just feel like they're just going to run Tony Bradley out there for 26, 28 minutes and let Ed Davis play the other 18 to 20 minutes. So that's my thoughts there. Definitely going to be a stars and scrubs slate for sure. With all the injury news that's already came out and with all the news, we're still waiting on, we still could get even more stuff come out on Thursday. I feel like it's going to be one of those slates where you just want to jam in the studs that are going to play big minutes, like Lillard, like Booker, John Morant, these teams that have something to play for. We want to play their stud guys and then just jam in these values, teams that have nothing to play for, that are running bench guys out there for 30-plus minutes. Those are the value plays we want to target. Ersan, if he starts for Giannis, is going to be a good value. Tony Bradley, if he starts for Gobert, is going to be a good value. Clarkson, little iffy on his minutes. We don't know what they're going to do, but I assume without Conley, he probably gets at least mid-20s minutes. Maybe they do something stupid and limit him like they did last game, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So, yeah, this is what I'm liking for this 5-game slate, guys. I think we broke it all down, talked about all the injuries. Obviously, I record my videos the night before. These are my early thoughts. More stuff could break as the day goes on Thursday. Make sure you're checking the news. If you want to get more updated content from me, that is available on Patreon. I will have my updated core plays posted on Patreon about an hour or two before lock. I will have my article posted for this slate sometime around probably 12 or 1 o'clock Eastern time. So definitely check out the Patreon link down below. If you did enjoy this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I do really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.